Good evening, and welcome to the May 6th Board of Trustees meeting. Can we please stand for the pledge? Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Camille, will you please call the roll?
Present.
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 Present, and we have no appointments today. We do have a few presentations. So for the sake of some of the kids who need to get to bed for school tomorrow, can we start with the Tuckahoe New York Pride Committee presentation, please?
Good morning.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
Good evening, even. Mayor Andino and the town board. My name is Sean Merriweather. I moved here to Tuckahoe in 2013 with my husband, and we thought that we were the only gay couple in the town, but we found out that we were far from alone.
Can you tell us your address, please?
Sure, I'm at 14 Westview Avenue at the Gentry. Right
Thank you.
This is my view. It's the town hall. I'm here tonight representing the Tuckahoe New York Pride Committee, which is made up of LGBTQ plus citizens as well as people who live nearby our village. And we came together with the aim of uniting our diverse population and building lasting partnerships with our community here in town. To kickstart that goal, we are planning to Tuckahoe's first annual Pride celebration, which will be held at the Tuckahoe Community Center on Sunday, June 23rd, between 2 and 6 p.m. Acknowledging the contributions of the LGBTQ community has been a global tradition that has been held for more than 50 years. And we are just emulating what other towns in Westchester have already done successfully. Our committee is working with local student groups, including the Gay Straight Alliance, to help us plan and participate in this historic event. They are very excited that they will be part of this celebration and will be represented. We're planning for an all-inclusive celebration that will have musical performances, celebrations, sing-alongs, and events for our kids. Many of our committee members are parents, and they want to instill the importance of diversity in their children, so our kids will be a really big, important part of this celebration. Members of our committee have been speaking with local businesses who are planning to join us on the 23rd. And we are looking for more vendors and sponsors to help us represent the village and spotlight the LGBTQ-friendly businesses. One of the goals of this event is to promote our village inclusivity and to attract new visitors to our downtown. We're offering sponsorship tiers starting with $100 to become a silver sponsor, $250 to become a gold sponsor, and $500 for platinum. The tiers will have different benefits, and including logos on promotional materials as well as vendor space. And we're also planning to market window clings for our local businesses to show their support. We are looking for people to come and support us, volunteers as well as people who want to be part of this important event and make it successful. We have already filed for our 501(c) nonprofit paperwork, so it will make fundraising a lot easier, and it will also make us a legitimate nonprofit. And although this is our very first year in doing this, we're very committed, and we're laying the groundwork for an annual celebration and to hopefully host other events throughout the year. For more information, you can visit our website. We're at tuckahoenypride.org, or you can email us at tuckahoenypride@gmail.com. And if you have any questions, I'm here to answer them. I also have many of my committee members right here too, so if I can't, they can.
Can you repeat your website address?
It's Tuckahoe, NYPride, PRIDE, .org, O-R-G, or .com. You have them both.
Oh, okay. Okay, thank you. Do any of the board members have questions? If there's anyone else on your committee that you would like to have speak, you can now. I think there was one other person who said that they wanted to speak.
I think we're good.
No? Okay, good. So thank you very much for bringing your presentation and for working on this and planning for it. I'm going to take us to resolution number 2, and ask the board to make a motion authorizing the use of the Tuckahoe Community Center on June 23rd from 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. And you can sit down if you'd like for a Tuckahoe Pride event. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, congratulations to the Tuckahoe New York Pride event. Much success. We also have a presentation from the Lions Club. Is there a representative here? Yes. Come on up. Come on up. Just tell us your name. How are you? Good to see you again.
Nice to see you too.
I do owe you a phone number, so I can give it to you today.
Thank you. Thank you. Yes, my name is David Zimmerman. I've been a resident of Tuckahoe for about 26, 27 years. I am currently president of the Tuckahoe Eastchester Lions Club, and we wanted to tell the trustees and the rest of the village about ourselves. We were founded in Tuckahoe on June 25th, 1925. So we're approaching our 99th year, and next year will be our 100th anniversary. We are part of the largest service organization in the world with 1.4 million members worldwide. In 1925, Helen Keller asked the Lions to be Knights of the Blind in her crusade against darkness. And ever since then, Lions have been an important part of preventing avoidable blindness and improving the quality of life for blind and visually impaired people. Our motto is "We serve." The Tuckahoe Eastchester Lions are a group of residents who come together to support the community through fundraising and acts of service. For example, I'm not sure if you know, but we collect over 10,000 pairs of eyeglasses every year. So last year was even more. We collect them at various locations throughout the village and the town of Eastchester. You've probably seen our boxes at the supermarkets and the train stations. And by all means, drop off your hearing aids, your glasses, cell phones, because they're all put to good use. They are recycled, they are tested, and they are transported around the world for people who need them, which is a great service. Excuse me. We support local organizations such as ECAP, the Bronxville Eastchester Tuckahoe Community Fund, the Tuckahoe Youth Association, the Westchester School for Special Children, Big Brothers Big Sisters, and as well the CARE Coalition. Annually, we run a holiday toy drive, host a pancake breakfast with Santa for the Tuckahoe and Eastchester Scouts, which raises them a lot of money. We meet on the second and fourth Tuesday at Roma's Restaurant, and we invite anyone who's interested in community service to join us. By the way, I'm going to put up my little email address, tuckahoeeastchesterlions.org. I'm sorry. Thank you for your time. I'd like
Thank
to
you.
introduce our incoming president, Sue Ann Roche.
Okay, and while Sue Ann is coming up, can I give you this, David? You're welcome. You can just give him a call.
Hi, thank you for having us here. So I get to talk about the fun thing. We are celebrating our 100-year anniversary on June 25th, 2025. And in honor of that birthday, we've crafted a 12-month plan that begins this June in 2024. And what we plan to do is have a kickoff in this June and spend the next 12 months committing to doing at least one act of service every month to benefit our community. So we're having a kickoff celebration at the Broken Bow Brewery at Marbledale Road on June 25th, 2024 from 6:30 to 8:30. And we welcome all of you to join us. There'll be free food, not free beer. You have to pay for your own beer. Raffles to raise money for community organizations, a prize for the person who donates the most used pairs of glasses, and it'll just be a fun evening. It'll be a chance to unwind, to relax, drink some beer, make new friends, and learn more about the Lions Club. we're asking, here's our ask. We're asking that you, the mayor, the deputy mayor, the board of trustees, issue a proclamation recognizing the centennial of our organization and the work of the Tuckahoe Eastchester Lions Club, and all the work we've done for the community and doing this at our kickoff event. So that's our ask. Well, that's our first ask. We have a few more. We'd love for you to talk to us about any other organizations that you think could benefit from our service, from our donations. We'd love you to join us next June as well for a culminating celebration. And we'd love you to help us get permission to erect a new, larger, more visible sign at the Tuckahoe Eastchester's Park in Tuckahoe. Do you know where that is? I hope so, because I'm really bad at geography. But David knows where it is. And we're trying to get a new sign and rededicate it to the Lions, do some plantings. So those are our asks, and we hope we see lots of you. We'll come to yours, you come to ours. We'll become friends, and you're all invited, maybe not the under 21s, but everybody else. We hope we see you on June 25th. Thank
Okay.
you.
Thank you. May I ask you guys to please send me an email with your asks so that I can consult with the board? Thank you. May I have the Eagle Scout Project, Christopher Sprinkle, come forward? We love our scouts.
Oh, I know. Sprinkles. Merry Christmas.
Hello,
Hello, Christopher.
my name is Christopher Sprinkle. If you guys don't mind, I have copies of my presentation.
Sure. Is this one?
Oh,
So we have it. Do you have it? Do you guys have it? Do you have this? Do you have
you
this?
guys,
Okay, here. Yeah, may I have one? Do you have one?
I don't.
Thank you. Just one for him. One for him.
Thanks.
my name is Christopher Sprinkle. I'm with Troop 1 Bronxville, and I'm working on my Eagle Scout project, which is a community garden in the right across from Assumption Church. And so this project will be giving people who don't really have a chance to garden, but who like to work outside and use their hands to have a chance and garden and grow. So for my responsibilities, I would be working with, I would be like supplying the planters, and of course the planters that I would be using would be determined on what you guys approve on for the dimensions. I would be using like vinyl or gravenite steel, so rot and rust will not go on the plants, and it wouldn't poison any of the planters or poison any of the plants that people are going to be growing and eating. I listed some of the prices, just a range to show how much the pricing is. Of course, the water supply would probably be an issue, but I would be using, I've been working with Tess as well, the committee for them, and we were talking about using the water supply from the building that's right next to it, which I'm pretty sure has been approved, so it's not a problem with the water. And I put a little add-on, because just instead of having people like planters that are lower to the ground, I have planters that are raised, so anyone who is handicapped and are unable to bend down but love to garden still are able to still get the chance to do it. And these of course will let everyone have a chance to do it. I would have benches and I would have the benches in that area just so if anyone's tired after a long day, they're able to sit down, just take a break. And of course, I would probably put a tool shed just so people who don't garden, of course, have a little area and don't have to go out and buy money on a garden that they might not want for a long term. So, and then I just put the prices and the people that I've been working with for it.
Does anyone on the board have any questions for Christopher? This looks very nice. Thank you, Christopher, for putting this together. And I know we've been talking for a while about a possible community garden, so I was really excited to hear that you took this on and that you've been working with TESC. If any of the board members have questions now, you have one?
So, residents can bring a plant and plant it themselves there and come back and maintain it and.
Yes. So the plan for it is that anyone, like people over there by the apartment buildings, because there's not a big enough area, you are able to bring. If people needed to, I could provide plants or seeds for them just to get them started and have the chance to do it. But yes, the point would be them being able to maintain the garden and support their own like vegetation that they want.
Right, thank you.
Anyone else?
Approximately how many residents would be able to kind of have a bed of their own out at the
So,
garden?
On the last page, this was just like dimensions that I put, as obviously I still needed to determine how much area I'm allowed to work with, but I would be having at least 8 beds and
Okay.
2 of the raised, so it's like 10 people max, but depending if people are like they're unable to keep it steady or want to switch out, they're able to take them a possible deposit back from what they're putting onto the garden, and sorry,
It's okay.
just but if they can't maintain it for a while, they're able to take their deposit back and still
Okay.
work with what they want.
Hi, Chris.
Or you-
Thank you for coming. I know this is not easy, and you're doing a great job, so thank you. Chris is my neighbor, and we're very excited about the idea, at least I am, about the idea of having a community garden. We've had a lot of people reach out to us and have expressed interest in this, so this is something that we are really, can really go a long way. What I'm wondering, and maybe this is a question for Tesk and not for you, I imagine that there are people who are going to want to grow things but don't know how because they've never had a plot of their own or any space to do so. Would you guys consider doing any kinds of like classes or training or anything like that?
I don't know if that might be something that Tess
Yeah.
does.
Okay.
But I mean, if when I'm like installing all these, if someone wants to like just come and already have their fair share, I think that could be a possibility.
Okay. Great.
Sounds good. And
Can I ask one more question?
go right ahead.
So Christopher, do you know who Elaine Provenzano is? Okay, so turn around. There's very like warm, loving. She's the Pied Piper of the village of Tuckahoe. My dream is that she will do story hour in the community garden with the littles. So I'm going to ask you a favor to talk to her about making my dream a reality because that's so magical. Like littles, plants, guitars. Oh, amazing. Okay.
Thank you, Christopher. And when did you plan on starting this?
Preferably around like maybe Memorial Day weekend or.
Okay, so in a few weeks. Okay.
So,
All right. So, so that we don't delay Christopher's plans for his Eagle Scout project, I'd like to, it's not on the agenda, but I'm going to ask for a motion to accept Christopher's proposal pending a review and possible revisions from the village administrator. Sorry, David, have given you a little bit more work, but I know he loves this kind of stuff. So may I have a motion to support Christopher's proposal pending possible revisions and recommendations?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Congratulations, Christopher, and thank you very much. Do we have anyone here from the Juneteenth committee to present for the annual Juneteenth event? Just to make an announcement.
Hello, everybody.
Hello, your name and
My
address.
name is Samantha Christian, 72 Main Street, and part of the Tuckahoe Juneteenth Committee. And this year we have many exciting things for the Juneteenth event, which will be at the park on June 15th from noon to 5 p.m. Come join us for food, music, events, activities, and just celebrating the emancipation of our people. It's a very important holiday, and I hope everybody comes and joins the event.
Okay.
Mhm.
Thank you. And it's at the Main Street Park, right?
Yes, Main Street Park.
Yeah.
Any questions?
Any questions from the board? Okay, thank you. So I'm going to move us to resolution number 1 and ask for a motion. Just let them settle down. I'll ask for a motion for authorizing the use of the Main Street Park on Saturday, June 15th for the 4th annual Juneteenth celebration from 12 to 5.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, look forward to that, Samantha. Thank you. And this will take us to public hearings. So I will begin by the public hearing is already open to consider proposing modifications to the village code related to short-term rentals. So if there's anyone that would like to weigh in, we are leaving this open. There is some litigation that's happening that we are watching before we close this public hearing so that we can make sure we have all the information we need. But if there's anyone that would like to weigh in, you may do so now. Have a good night for the mass exodus people. Okay, is there anyone on Zoom that would like to weigh in? Okay, so we will keep that public hearing open. The second public hearing to consider the local historic landmark nomination of 1 Generoso Pope Place, formerly Village Hall. So I'd like to ask for a motion to open the public hearing.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? So the public hearing is open to hear, to consider the historic landmark nomination for 1 Generoso Pope Place, formerly Village Hall. For those of you who don't know where that is the building in Depot Square right across from the Starbucks. So if there is anyone that would like to weigh in on the landmark designation for that address, please come forward now. No one?
Elaine Provenzano, children's librarian at the Tuckahoe Library. I live at 11 River Street. The first library in Tuckahoe was in the Generoso Pope building. That was the original Village Hall. The door diagonally across from the animal hospital is where you would go in when we were children. And so many of us have great memories of that library. And now we will have a new library, but it's a magnificent building, and I'm so glad that we're considering the landmark. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to weigh in? So the public hearing is open to consider landmarking 1 Generoso Pope Place, formerly Village Hall. Is there anyone on Zoom? Do we have anyone on Zoom? We do? Okay. So no one else? Okay, do you want to come up, Jenny? I see you bursting with pride. May as well. Come on up. You're welcome to.
Hi, Jenny Steinhagen, South High Street, Historic Preservation Commission. This building has not only an incredible history and value to the community, but it's gorgeous. It's been really well taken care of, and I think represents the pride that this community takes in its history there by the train station that harkens way back. At the last Historic Preservation Commission, we gave a presentation that detailed that history, architectural, social, cultural, economic, and I'm absolutely available with any questions, but as this continues, I think we'll hear more about it.
Mm-hmm. Okay, thank you. We were going to keep it open, but I'm thinking we may just close it. So I'm going to ask for a motion to close the public hearing to consider the 1 Generoso Pope Place as a historic landmark.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, and I will just close it. We will not vote on it today. We will vote on it at the next meeting, because I would like to open the public hearing to consider the appeal of the certificate of hardship and certificate of appropriateness decisions for 230 White Plains Road, also known as Ward House. And so I'd like a motion to open that public hearing.
So moved.
May I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And Gary, I'd like for you to give us a little summary as where we are now with that.
Bring everyone up to speed.
Yes.
So, as the board recalls, this board designated the Ward House as an historic landmark. The Ward House is owned by the Biggest Fish. Once that happened, and that decision by this board is basically on appeal with the Supreme Court, so we're still in litigation with that. So the historical significance of this building is not an issue tonight. That's being decided up there. This board has already said it has historical significance. So what is before this board? So the applicant, which is the Biggest Fish, made a application to the Historical Preservation Commission for a certificate of appropriateness to demolish the Ward House based on safety issues. That was the first application they made. And to do that, they would have needed to show, where's my language? That the building was imminent and avoidable threat to the public health, safety, and welfare. So that was their first application. The Historical Preservation Commission denied that application. The applicant then appealed to this board, but what we did was we held that appeal in abeyance so they can go through the next step. So what happens is the first application they had to make was for safety, and then they can appeal to the Historical Preservation Commission based on economic reasons. So the safety has to come first, then the economic reasons can go second. So what the applicant did was made an application before the Historical Preservation Commission for economic reasons, for a certificate of appropriateness for economic reasons to demolish the Ward House. That was presented to the Historical Preservation Commission for, I think, a few meetings, and that ultimately was denied denied by the Historical Preservation Commission. That denial was also appealed to this board. So we have both appeals pending to this board, first on safety and then second on the economic reasons. So the important thing with the appeals are, the criteria is all in the historical preservation law, and it's it's spelled out what the applicant has to meet to overcome the burdens they have. But what's very important with this appeal to this board is that the appeals limit, I'm going to read directly from the law because I don't want to. It says, appellate review shall be based on the same record that was before the commission and using the same criteria in this chapter. So what that means is the Historical Preservation had all these hearings, and I know this board is aware of them and reviewed them. They had the public comments, they had public submissions. So we're limited on those records for this appeal. So there's really nothing new that can be added here by either the applicant or the public, because what you're doing is you're looking back to the Historical Preservation Commission to see if they did it right. So that's what's before you. So if new information comes up, well, that wasn't before them, and that's not what we're looking at. So it's very limited what you're looking at. What you're looking at is what's already happened. So that's where we are, and that's so now the two appeals, safety and economic, is before this board.
Okay, thank you, Gary.
welcome.
Does anyone on the board have questions for Gary? Okay, so I'd like to ask if there are any anyone who would like to weigh in on this public hearing.
I think the applicant may go first.
Okay, yes. I wasn't sure if they were going to be here, so I got it wrong.
Good evening.
Good evening.
And members of the board. My name is Lee Lefkowitz from the law firm Zarin and Steinmetz on behalf of the applicant. And with me tonight is our architect, Louis Campana. And as your attorney indicated, this is an appeal from an application which is seeking to replace the structure at 230 White Plains Road, known as the Ward House. As your attorney indicated, Louis and I presented a number of times at the historic board. And under your law, your review is limited to what was before that board. So I'm I'm not going to go through our whole song and dance yet another time. As your attorney indicated, I'm aware that you've reviewed those meetings and you saw our presentation there. I also provided your board with a 22-page letter which goes through each of the elements that your attorney indicated are in your law. So rather than have us be here all night while I go through those elements, I'll refer you to my letter, which addresses each one in turn. And I'll just take 1 minute just to hit a couple of points. And Louis will take a couple of minutes also just to show his proposal for the new structure that we want to replace the structure at 230 White Plains Road with. The structure at issue, landmarked and restricted after the applicant took title to the property, is in a serious state of disrepair. And this appeal is from both the HPPC's denial of the certificate of appropriateness and the economic hardship application. The HPPC's finding that this was not a hardship respectfully missed several of the factors that were black and white in the law. For example, the law asks that the applicant show that the structure is in a state of disrepair. The Historic Board's resolution didn't use that criteria. It instead held the applicant to a standard of whether the structure is an imminent threat, which is different. Similar to the safety application that your attorney indicated earlier, but different. The board took a look at one of the factors which asks, was the applicant's situation a self-created hardship? The law defines what a self-created hardship is. It's, did you buy the property subject to the law? Was the law in effect when you bought the property? The Historic Board didn't use that criteria. It instead asked, well, were there talks going on about adopting the law at the time that the applicant bought the property? In fact, the applicant bought the property before the law was adopted, so this was not a self-created hardship. And then one of the criteria is, can the structure be adapted for another use? And we pointed out that the structure is in a single-family zoned area and can only be used as a single-family home. And instead, the Historic Board took a look at the fact that centuries ago it was used for other purposes like a tavern, which it can't be used for anymore. And that also goes to several other criteria, like, is the property unique? It in fact is. There are no other single-family homes that are currently landmarked in Tuckahoe. And in fact, your historic code encourages that historic landmarked properties be used for their original purpose. In this case, it was a single-family home. So suggesting that it be used for a different purpose was actually contrary to the law. And finally, and most importantly, the Historic Board's finding that this is not an economic hardship, despite the fact that, as we indicated through several different quotes provided by reputable contractors and architects, stated that to renovate the structure would cost $1.4 million more, over twice as much more than it would cost to replace the structure. The fact that the Historic Board found that that was not an economic hardship was simply wrong.
Sorry, can I ask you to repeat that?
It would cost over $1.4 million more to renovate the structure than it would cost to replace the structure. It would cost over $1.4 million more.
Sorry, we're a little dense.
So
To renovate a space.
To repair.
Repair a space that's how many square feet?
Just over 5,000 square feet.
1.4 million to renovate.
1.4 million more.
More.
The reason for that is, and we provided multiple quotes using cheaper materials, using more expensive materials. Effectively, in order to renovate or repair the structure, it would require a surgical replacement, going into the structure and replacing individual beams and boards, testing them, and replacing them one by one, as opposed to what the applicant was proposing to do, which is to bring down the structure and replace it with a structure that honors the history of the property, honors what's there, replicates what's there, that can still responsibly be called the Ward House and honor its history, albeit with new economic and environmentally friendly materials. If your board's interested, we would be happy to arrange for a site walk so that your board can see the structure for itself. But as I stated in my letter, the key thing to understand here is that this structure was lost a long time ago. It was demolished a long time ago. It was demolished when it was used by Concordia College, the prior owner, as a dorm for many years and allowed to fall into a state of disrepair, when additions and other ad hoc methods were used to stabilize it, which no longer work. And this is no longer about an effort to preserve a structure, because it already has not been preserved. And what we're seeking to do is to restore honor and history to this site with a structure that which we're happy to talk with you about and work with you to make sure it honors it the way that your board and the public sees fit. But that's what we're looking to do here. And I want to let Louis talk a little bit about what that proposal is. So I'm going to call him up.
May I just ask one quick question? How big is the structure now? How many square feet is it now, as it exists?
Louis Campana, architect. I'm just going to go to the So let's see here. So the permitted square footage, my mistake previously, permitted square footage based on the FAR regulations is 5,293 square feet, and the existing structure is 4,617 square feet.
The existing structure on the property is now 4,000 square feet?
Yes.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize it was that big.
All right, so good evening,
Good
Mayor,
evening. Good evening.
Board of Trustees. I'm Louis Campana on behalf of the applicant and architect for the reconstruction of the Ward House at 230 White Plains Road. I was raised in Tuckahoe, and I'm very interested and familiar with its history. I come from a family spanning 6 generations in town. I'm also quite familiar with the Ward House. I grew up just 3 doors down at 242 White Plains Road. In 2022, my office was selected to measure the Ward House and document its existing conditions. We also researched public records at the building department and the Marble Museum just outside these doors. We found no record of interior alterations except for an attic conversion that was completed in 1960, 20 years after Concordia College purchased the property. The only other permits on file were for minor exterior alterations, all of which were completed within the last 14 years. Permit 3838, issued on August 17, 2010, was for the installation of asphalt roofing. Permit 3954, issued on March 4, 2011, was for the reconstruction of the existing chimneys, which were finished with concrete instead of matching the original brick. And finally, Permit 4040, issued on July 18, 2011, was for the removal of existing wood shingles and installation of vinyl siding. We found drawings dating back to 1960 for a fire sprinkler system. This is when the property was changed into a dormitory. These drawings showed the house as it existed at the time. When we visited the house to survey the existing conditions, I was struck by the level of neglect and deterioration the structure had experienced during Concordia's ownership. This was also the case with the Schultz House at 225 White Plains Road and the Fuller House at 205 White Plains Road, all 3 owned by Concordia College and left in disrepair. After drafting the existing conditions, we found a major disparity between what was on record at the building department versus what actually existed. There were kitchens and bathrooms scattered throughout the first and second floors, new walls constructed, and others demolished, all without permits or drawings on file. This renders all of the work that was done to the original 1797 structure since the 1960 attic conversion as illegal and without any proper inspection by town officials or professional oversight. I think we can all agree that the illegal and haphazard alterations done by the college coupled with the permits issued by the village dating back only 14 years, aided in the further depletion of the home's architectural significance, and more importantly, it has proven to be detrimental to the structural integrity of the 225-year-old home. The damage done by Concordia for at least the past 83 years, or 40% of its lifespan, is substantial and was clearly left to the new owner in disrepair. Throughout the years, I believe that the village and others were living under the false assumption that the Ward House was in good hands with the college. But perhaps we wouldn't be here right now if the interested parties took the initiative and worked with Concordia to preserve the building rather than just retelling its story. There clearly was a missed opportunity to have an institution like Concordia College preserve the structure, and now the Historic Preservation Commission has made a decision to mandate a private owner to preserve the house in its current form. As the architect of the reconstruction of the Ward House, it's my responsibility and main objective to preserve the general character of the home and restore its presence it once had. We propose to revert the property back to its original single-family use while considering the necessities of modern living and construction practices. We look to do this taking into consideration the board's comments and reasonable requests. Do you have any questions before I go to?
Does anyone have any questions so far?
Okay, so we'll start with the property first, and then we'll go through the proposed conditions. This property sits on the eastern side of the intersection of Winslow Circle and White Plains Road. I'm sure we're all familiar with it. We are proposing to preserve some of the major characteristics of the property and the house itself. Number one, we're proposing to rebuild the new structure in the exact footprint, the same setbacks to White Plains Road and Winslow Circle. We're also proposing to preserve the water well in the rear yard, the stone wall on the north side of the property, and also the carriage house steps in the front lawn. We are proposing to modify the massing of the east wing, which is the portion with the flat roof. We're doing that so that we can incorporate a two-car garage for residential purposes. We're also planning or proposing a series of terraced areas in the rear yard to make it more usable, creating separate spaces, and also extending the rear patio or the covered porch to make it more usable for a family. So we have two options that we've created. Both are very similar. The only difference between the two is just the roof. So as you can see here, we're proposing to preserve the massing of the existing structure. The quality of the original material. We have details like the corner boards, which we'll be maintaining. Also, the portico would be pretty much built exactly the same, except for the front door. The front door, we're proposing 2/3 glass with side lights and a transom window above. We are also proposing to keep the proportions of the existing windows intact with the new construction, and also incorporating operable shutters and reconstructing the chimney mass with brick veneer, as it once was. In this scheme, we are proposing to keep the flat roof over the east wing, and you can see that we are proposing a new chimney which will service the family room and master bedroom. The garage would be located towards the east side, down below that addition. This is the view of the west elevation. This is what you see as you come to the top of Winter Hill. You can see here that the back porch is extended. Currently, it's only about 7 feet deep. And the one major difference between the proposed house and what currently exists is the roof line. So the existing roof line is a mansard roof. It pitches up and then comes to a flat portion on top. We're simply just removing that because flat roofs leak. And this house certainly had leaks over the years, causing some of the damage. It's an elevation of the rear of the house, or the south side of the house. So very similar to what you see today. Again, the only difference is the roof line. And we're obviously taking the fire stair down. No need for a fire escape off the back of the house anymore. This is the east elevation where we have our carriage house garage doors down below. Again, very similar to what is there today except for the roof line and the exit door, which is located right here on the gable. We're replacing that with a series of 3 windows. This existing portion, which exists today, was being used as a bedroom. What we're proposing is to use this as a stair tower coming up from a new mudroom from the basement up to the living space on the first floor. This is the second option that we've come up with here. And again, the only difference is the roof line. Here we're adding dormers to the attic and a pitched roof on the east wing. That's the only difference. And the west view.
Is that it? Thank you.
Any questions?
Yes. I'm asking the board to ask questions, and then I will have the public speak.
So with the dormer windows in the attic, does that add a livable space?
That space was actually converted in 1960 into dorm rooms, yes,
Okay.
and bathrooms. So it's currently habitable space, but it would just be renovated. Well, reconstructed, I should say. Reconstructed with a finished attic.
Okay, but only windows on the east and west sides of
On the other
roof.
scheme, yes.
Oh, okay.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
I just have basic context questions. So what was the cost of the property?
The cost of the property was $651,000.
That was for both pieces of
The empty
both
lot in the back
parcels,
as well.
and that has since been split.
Correct.
So the cost basis would be less than that.
Correct.
And what are you considering the cost basis for that, for the Ward House property? Like, how much is that, what would you say that is worth?
The cost basis for the Ward House
Oh,
property?
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
So, let me get back to you with an answer on that.
Okay.
What I would say is that 651, the property that is referenced in the back while it was split off, 651 is kind of the number that we've been operating with as what the cost was to purchase the Ward House property.
But you have
But let-
since gotten 2 properties out of it.
Yeah, so let me get back to you with an answer.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah.
And was the property purchased sight unseen by the applicant, or did they have an opportunity to tour the inside of the house before they purchased it?
It was purchased sight unseen. It was purchased in a bundle with other properties that were being sold off by Concordia College.
And so they were not given access to the inside of the house prior to purchasing?
I don't know if it's that they weren't given access, but they weren't, that was not the format of the sale. The format of the sale was to buy a bundle of properties sight unseen, correct?
Okay, I was just trying to ascertain whether or not they could assess the damage in the so-called damage within the house. Has the applicant tried to sell the house at its current state?
So, yes, it is not the applicant's wish to sell the house. The applicant wishes to redevelop the house and restore it. The applicant, primarily because it was a criteria in the application process to provide any listing details. Although separately, I'll say, because the criteria are a balisting test, arguably the applicant wouldn't have needed to do that. But in the interest of being comprehensive, we did list the property to see if there were any offers that were interested in coming in, and we provided information about the offers we did receive to the historic board, but there was nothing that was substantial or what we considered to be bona fide.
Okay, yeah, it's just confusing because generally when a house goes for sale, like you can find it on Zillow. I can see the original listing from when the applicant bought it, but I don't see any listing for the house from any other time. How much was the house listed for?
I believe it was listed for 800,000.
800.
800,000, I believe.
Okay, and what?
I'll check that to make sure I'm right about that.
I'd like that information, please.
Sure. But let me explain that a little bit. So the issue of Zillow came up at the last meetings before the historic board as well. So very simply put, there's nothing in the code that requires that a listing be placed on Zillow.
No, there's not.
And so, with all due respect to that board, I really do mean it. But it felt as though that was a criteria that was added after the fact, and said, well, you didn't. In a way of sort of moving the goalposts.
Right.
It says you have to provide information about listings, and maybe you did, but you didn't do this next thing that you could have done. So the applicant did have a bona fide reason for not putting it on Zillow. I can go into that if you'd like.
I am curious.
Yeah.
And the reason why I'm curious is because when we're claiming an economic hardship, then it's nice to know that we've tried every venue and a way to make money off of this home, right? Because you're presenting this as an economic hardship. So for me, I want to understand what the economic hardship is exactly.
So,
yeah.
Number one, we provided an affidavit from our real estate broker indicating the efforts that were made to sell the property, including that it was listed on MLS, reviewed by thousands of individuals, including real estate brokers. The reason it was done this way, candidly, is that this has obviously become a very hotly contested issue. And there was significant concern that by making it publicly available on Zillow as opposed to available on MLS, the difference being that on MLS, you're typically getting reviews from actual brokers, bona fide individuals who want to make offers, as opposed to anyone who could just see it and through Zillow set up a visit. So the idea was, because it was so contested, to try to limit the pool of individuals who would be making offers on it to those who are most bona fide. The concern is that by putting it on Zillow, it would allow any members of the public to sort of come in and potentially even stretch out the process and hamper the process here, in effect make the property unsaleable by making offers that aren't necessarily bona fide, demanding an inspection, pulling back on an offer right before the closing, getting close to a contract and not signing it. And because the code requires us to provide information about offers, it bore the potential that the house could be flooded with offers that weren't really bona fide, and which we wouldn't be able to ascertain whether they were bona fide or not, and yet would have to provide those offers to the board, which could give an impression that there are all these offers out there that indeed weren't bona fide, but which we'd be constrained to provide anyway. Furthermore, we could invite questions from that board. Well, why didn't you explore this further? And it could result in us taking weeks or months to enter into contract negotiations with individuals who may pull out at the last minute. And it could drag out the process for months before the historic board while we field sort of bona fide offers that end up going nowhere. So for that reason, and I'll go back to this, the applicant wasn't desirous to sell the property in the first place. He's looking to redevelop it. But we put it on there just so that we could field offers through a smaller market that would be bona fide offers, so that we could provide information to the board, which is what we did.
I see. And you made a statement before that to renovate the house would cost $1.4 million more than to tear the house down and rebuild it. Can you give me the total, the range of quotes for restoration of the home?
Yeah, sure. I mean, they were all provided. We provided copies of all the quotes.
I know. I
Just want the public to hear.
Yeah.
Sure. Okay, so the cost to replace the house was $882,775. The restoration budget from, and this is from Adirondack Fisheries, and this is just for the exterior, is $1.214 million. The
You said to restore just the exterior.
Just the exterior, that's correct. The balance that gets you to the $1.4 million over is once the exterior is demolished and repaired, we then need to go inside and understand, as a result of doing the exterior, what damage was there to the interior from doing the exterior and what damage to the interior already exists. So then going inside and doing that surgical repair, whatever that balance is that gets you, my math is not going to be so quick to be able to get there now, but to whatever the balance is there that gets you to the 1.4, bringing the total of the exterior plus the interior to 2.324 million. That's for the interior. I'm sorry, that should be $311,000. That's the interior.
And you said a total replacement would be 882,000.
Replace, correct.
And that includes demolition and removal and all of that?
Correct, yes. I'll add that we provided an additional quote for the exterior using cheaper materials. That was requested by the Historic Board. That number came to $987,955 for the exterior. So it was not that different from the exterior renovation with the more expensive materials, and the reason for that is that the bulk of this cost is labor, not necessarily the materials. So tremendous amount of this is the labor cost.
Okay, thank you.
Anyone else? And I know it's not relevant to this, but I'm just curious. Is the applicant looking to build on the second lot to develop that?
I don't know the answer to that at this time, but yes, I would agree that it's not relevant to this. But so thank you. But yes, I'm not sure.
That's why I said it.
Yeah, thank you. Happy to
Okay.
answer any other questions.
Any other questions? Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you for being open to the questions. Okay? So I'd like to ask for the public. No, it's okay. Come on up. Come on up. I'd just like to ask, we do have a pretty full room, and we do want to get out of here before midnight tonight. There's a lot of information that the board has already heard. We've heard, we've watched meetings, we've read documents, we've heard from people. So I ask that you please try to keep your comments to 2 to 3 minutes so that we can, get everybody who would like to weigh in up to the mic. Thank you.
Sure. Mine is short, and it's that he had.
Just tell us your name and
my name is Jack Leonard.
address.
I'm a resident of Eastchester, historical enthusiast, also real estate agent in town. So he provided the estimate that seemed quite extensive as I was sitting there. I looked up to the company, Adirondack Adirondack Fisheries has Marie Holcomb, which likely a relative, listed as one of the people on it. So I'm not sure how relevant that estimate is. Just thought I would add that.
Okay. More paper? We're killing trees. I'm calling Tusk.
It's not going to be a pop quiz on this.
Oh, okay.
Sal Provenzano, 11 River Street, Tuckahoe, New York, President of Friends of the Ward House. I will be brief. In fact, I will just read the cover letter of the information that I sent, and I made sure that everything within that document is information that was already given to the HPC. There are some things that are scratched out because we did get an appraisal as to the land value, but we won't mention what that appraisal is because that's new information. Dear Mayor Andino, we have now reached a point where you and the trustees need to make a decision on the words and spirit of the landmark law and the merits of the biggest fish Westchester argument of economic hardship within the context of the law. Kudos to the Tuckahoe Historical Preservation Commission, the advisory board that you created to navigate through these types of situations. Their resolution was well compiled, well crafted, and well articulated on February 28th. In fact, it really should stand on its own what their resolution said. In addition to the HPC resolution, Greg Holcomb, the principal of Biggest Fish Westchester, stated on October 25th, 2024, during the HPC meeting at minute 42 seconds, that he purchased 224-223 White Plains Road for land value only. This was recorded during questioning by Commissioner Luisi, when Mr. Holcomb also stated that he was forced to purchase 4 properties in a bundle, take it or leave it, sight unseen. He also agreed that he was aware that the moratorium preventing demolition of the Ward House was in place, and he still made the purchase. His words were, "It's a yellow light," whatever that means. Based on these facts, supported by the attached documents, there is no economic hardship under the definition of the law. The situation Biggest Fish Westchester is in was self-imposed. Just going through some bullet points. Biggest Fish acquired the Ward House with full knowledge that there was a historical structure protected by a moratorium preventing demolition and or movement. 2, Greg Holcomb, Biggest Fish Westchester principal, stated on record that he bought it for land value only. The Friends of the Ward House made an all-cash offer of $651,000 to buy the Ward House and site on October 19th, 2023. That is on record, and that's before that information was shared. The 651 offer far exceeds the appraised market value of 2 building lots up there. I'm not going to give you, because this is new information, I do have an appraisal. I would strongly recommend that the trustees get their own appraisal on a hypothetical situation that it's only a building lot there, since Mr. Holcomb said himself that's what his intention was. Biggest Fish Westchester does not meet any of the hardship requirements of the Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Law, and I have to say, I'm stunned that even today, when part of the law is that this house has to be listed, that you can't find it. This is in violation of the law. All we're asking for is for the Village of Tuckahoe to enforce this beautiful law that was put on the books and to follow the guidance of the very talented Tuckahoe Historic Preservation Commission. Thank you.
Thank you. Do we have anyone else that would like to weigh in? Yes.
Hello, I'm Marion Schaefer. I'm a senior at Bronxville High School, a board member of Friends of the Ward House, and I live at 28 Grove Lane in Bronxville. I've talked to the Historical Preservation Board, but wanted to introduce myself to you. Here I have a copy of 2 petitions that I have created and had signed by educators, residents, and students of the Eastchester, Tuckahoe, Bronxville towns and surrounding areas. My petitions got 247 and 285 signatures, respectively. These petitions are just stating that we, the residents, stand with the Friends of the Ward House, and we believe that this house should be preserved for reasons of educational and historical, cultural significance and importance.
Thank you. Can you give that to our clerk, please?
Bob Foyce, 105 Garth Road. I remember photos of the Ward House back in the 300th anniversary, and I remember how many of us enjoyed being inside the Ward House for a number of activities. We know what shape this house is in. We know what we can do with it. We're not just pie in the sky. We're thinking about how much it's going to cost. We're thinking about responsibly what it would take for it to be self-sustaining. All we're asking for, all we're hoping for is that you enforce the law that's already there. In my humble opinion, this house has sort of been an historical orphan for too long. Listen, you drive up Winter Hill and you see a rock there with a historical monument. It's been commemorated by the town for 100 years now as an historical spot. There's no arguing this. All right, imagining it's not is not a good idea. It takes away from the quality of the history of the town and the legacy of the town. But on a practical level, understand that we're not just here pie in the sky saying, oh, save the house and that's it. We know the house is going to need work. It's an old house. Okay? I'm worried about more practical things. I hope as a board, while this process is continuing, though the weather's getting warmer, that the house has been properly taken care of by the owner. I would hope that the heat was on during the wintertime because, yeah, a lot of things happen to a house when the heat's not on. All right, or when the heat's not, or the house not taken care of, or the windows are not checked, or the roof's not checked. You have an owner here. If you had an owner in town of a home, they would be inspected and they would be expected to take care of what's here now. Let's not allow this house to further deteriorate since it has an owner now. That's just a suggestion. All right, second thing. We would like to see what's in there. The people would. You know, I mean, the people were in there during the 350th anniversary. As I'm listening to this, I've listened to a lot of different... Enough of the pie in the sky misstating what shape the house is in and the doom and gloom. This rumor mongering that has been this cloud over this house for 2 years is not fair. This house is fine. We've listened to some of the historical architects do the analysis on the house. It's solid as a rock. All right? Does it have some warts? Will it need some work? Some obvious things, even on the exterior, do need to be changed and improved. That's been talked about, the siding. Okay? But as it has been explained by the historical committee, this doesn't have to happen tomorrow. This doesn't even have to happen next year.
I think that timer's for you, Mr.
All right. So we look. Hey, the hook.
It's going on 4 minutes, okay, 5 minutes.
I got it. No, but we look forward as a community to working with the village to making this work and finding a lot of creative ways and a lot of help from people to make this further come together. I think it's going to be great.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Renee, you've been trying to get up.
Right.
So I just want to remind everyone to please keep your comments to 3 minutes.
Renee Howell, 184 Dante Avenue. So I have a question for the architect. So while I understand that flat roofs leak less or leak more maybe than pitch roofs, certainly there are a billion of flat roof buildings, and I've worked in many that don't leak. So I think to me the proposal for the new building, if it retained that shape and retained the brackets, and I think this has been asked before, that would be much more palatable, at least to some of us in the community. So is that a possibility, or does it have to really look like not the Ward House, which...
So the two options that were presented were the two options that Biggest Fish wanted to bring to the table, but we understand that this is going to be an ongoing process, and thank you for your comments, because I had discussions with him regarding the flat roof and potentially proposing that. And if that's something that the board would be amenable to, we would certainly put that back in, including the brackets.
Thank you. Thank you for that question. Next, please.
My name is Dr. Edward Powers. I'm a resident at 6 McKinley Street in Bronxville. And thank you for the opportunity for me to address the Board of Trustees. A couple of things. I live in a section called Gifford Park. Okay, I've spoken to members of the community. I've spoken to people on Winslow Circle. And unofficially, okay, the community is in support of preservation of the Ward House. I also might want to add that I am a member of the board of Friends of the Ward House, and my vote is to preserve the Ward House. I'm getting to my question. I looked at the architect's presentation, and as people here probably know, that the front of the ward house today was the back of the ward house, and the back of the ward house was the front of the ward house. And that was constructed in such a way so as the stagecoaches came up 22, they could swing around at which is now the back. My understanding also is that under the historic preservation law, the exterior of the building has to be kept intact. And the architect's presentation, it's my understanding that the back porch will be extended, okay, into the backyard. And my question is, isn't this in violation of the historic preservation law? Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Powers, thank you. I just want to address the comment regarding the porch and some of the detailing. The preservation law actually states that if reconstructed, it should respect the general character of the existing home. So it doesn't necessarily have to be exactly that home, but it has to respect in material, in massing. It also has to conform with the makeup of the neighborhood as well. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Hi. Elaine
Hello.
Provenzano, 11 River Street. I'm also with the Friends of the Ward House. I'm a little confused because I thought that this was a hardship conversation. And for the third time, it's been like a planning board meeting where we've had to look at plans of a new house that is, I've heard the word restoration used multiple times. It is not a restoration. You are tearing the house down, demolishing a landmark, right, to build a new house. I just want to be clear. And you're throwing in elements of what it looks like now to make it
Ms.
sound like you're
Elaine,
preserving something.
Please
Okay?
address the board,
Sorry.
not
So
the applicant.
Just, this is the question I
Yes.
have.
And I think what they were talking about was restoration versus replacement.
But the words that were used were preservation, and that's not preservation. Preservation is preserving the house, like the Odell house, like many other houses. Now, we have our 250th coming up in a few years. We have a historic house, a landmark in this community, a treasure that we realize that I was in for the centennial, for the 350th. Other people were here. I wasn't there. Students were in there 3 years ago, which I'm sure the village would not allow to be in there if it wasn't safe. A historic architect debunked at the Historic Preservation Commission the safety of it, as well as the hardship appeal. And so are we going to, as a community, what are we going to do to make sure that these first veterans of our community that died there and the history that's there that's the preservation. A replacement is what you're talking about. A replacement to sell, not a replacement of the ward house that's going to be an entity. So that's why I just wanted to, that wasn't clear. I felt it was a little bit muddy. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
Thank you.
Jenny Steinhagen again, Historic Preservation Commission. It's been a little hard to be patient, but I was doing my best because I think that the attorney tonight suggested that the intent of Biggest Fish was not to find a solution, but it has been from day one to tear down this building. And Tuckahoe has landmarked 230 White Plain Road. As a Tuckahoe local landmark, it is afforded protections by the law. That law protects its exterior and it prevents the demolition. That should be the end of the story. But there are two exceptions. That house can come down if it poses an imminent threat to the health, safety, and welfare of the surrounding area. We had many, many meetings, many that extended well into the night, and that decision was made that it is not in that situation. So then they came back and said, well, we mean that it's an economic hardship. And we said, what do you mean it's an economic hardship? Because the legislation clearly states what an economic hardship is. And all of these numbers that you've heard tonight, the 1.4, the 800, the 3, we've spent many meetings going over those numbers. And to Trustee Cronin, those were some great questions about what is hardship? Is it recouping the money that you put into the house? Or is it I was going to say fantasy, but I guess it was a misunderstanding that a landmark property can just be gutted and replaced with these materials that we didn't know where they were coming from and where these quotes were originating from. But the Secretary of Interior for Historic Preservation states that you're not even allowed to do that. You don't just gut. You don't just rip off the exterior of a landmark building and just put something up. And we tried to break that down for them many, many times. So I think that this board was incredibly patient in entertaining the idea about this new property. The house can't be torn down. Unless some appeal were to go through, that house isn't coming down. So these drawings, I would have been back there, objection, objection, immaterial, irrelevant, because I don't understand what the intent is. Are they trying to pull at the heartstrings of the board and the community? Because I think planning board was a good point. If this house comes down, they work with planning. But right now, I think we need to remember the house isn't coming down unless this appeal goes through.
Thank you.
I can make myself available for any other questions, but the summary that the commission came to details each of the criteria. Oh, and I'm done. I'm getting, okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else that has anything more to weigh in on? I think a lot has been done and said. Would you like to?
May I just respond to a couple of points?
Absolutely.
I promise I'll be very brief. One is my own error. I just want to correct my math from when I spoke earlier. So the new construction is 882. Solely the exterior is $1,076,000. The interior is $936, and then the interior fixtures and structural that will be destroyed by replacing the structural members in the house. So that's like putting them back in the floorboards after you tear them out to put the more structural beams in. That's $311. So when you add those together, that's $1.44 million over the 882, which is the new construction. So I just wanted to get that math right. The additional estimate I mentioned was $987 using the cheaper materials. That's just for the exterior. A couple of points that were raised by the public that I just want to touch on. One was it was mentioned that an architect was presented by the Friends of the Ward House before the Historic Board. And I just wanted to make your board aware. So that was Mr. Stephen Tilley, who had never been inside the house, but was opining on our structural engineers report that we provided, who did on 3 separate occasions probes and an analysis of the house to detail its structural issues. He's also not an engineer, Mr. Tilley. So the only engineer's report concerning the structural integrity of the home that was before the Historic Board was from our own engineer. The question of what is a hardship came up, and I just want to talk about the fact that it would cost us, per our estimates, $1.4 million to restore the house without rebuilding it. That would have to happen because the house as it is cannot get a certificate of occupancy. It is not safe. It is not built to code. So for the house to be used in any fashion, something has to happen, whether it's a rebuild or a renovation. So the economic hardship isn't really about, well, can the applicant make money on this? That's not really what it's about. It's to use this home for any purpose, to use this property for any purpose. The building needs to be fixed. And the question here is, are we going to fix it by renovating it, which costs $1.44 million more just for the structure to be usable? Or can we do it for 882, which is gets you to the same place, albeit through a demolition and a rebuild? And the question was raised, well, why do you have to do this? Why do you need to renovate the exterior in this fashion? The law does require that we replace the structure with pieces of like kind and materials of like kind. So that's the reason that we're showing you the new building as well. This wasn't intended to be a planning board meeting. It's required in the law that we show you what's going to be next if we're seeking to demolish it. I mean, imagine if we came here and said we're looking to demolish the structure and we tell you nothing about what we're going to build there to replace it with. So this was all in an effort to show the public and the board what we're willing to, and trying to do here. That was the objective here. If there are any other questions, I'm happy to answer them, but I wanted to at least hit those points.
Okay, thank you. Would you like to come back up? Because I can't, I'm old, I can't see that.
Jack Flannery again from Eastchester. I think it's a relevant and important question to figure out who gave the quote and how many they have. It's good practice to get 3 different quotes done. A quick Google search of Adirondack Fisheries gave the name of Maria Holcomb, who, could very likely be the relative of the owner of Biggest Fish LLC. So due to that, I wonder how relevant and valid is that quote. I think it's worth asking. Thank you. Finally, sorry, on the realtor end, if I wanted to actually sell a house, I would never not put it on Zillow. That to me indicates that they didn't make a bona fide attempt to sell a house. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Okay. And and I'd like to ask, I mean, you guys continue to answer questions because that's what we want. We want the community to hear from you. If you have already spoken, I'm going to ask that you please refrain from coming back up unless there is something significant that needs to be said so that other people who may not have had an opportunity to speak to come forward. Thank you.
Just clarification regarding Adirondack Fisheries. So Adirondack Fisheries is a business which the owner exclusively uses for construction. It is the gentleman who is building the 2 homes at the top of Winter Hill right now. He exclusively works for the Biggest Fish and the other businesses that he has, and it may be that his wife has something to do with that business because of that reason. However, it was only one of the bids that we received. There were other bids from Murphy Brothers Builders, Adam and Marinick, and one other that I...
How many other bids?
Off the top of my head, I don't recall, but I think we went through this process about 4 times in terms of the amount of bids that we received.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone before Sal Provenzano speaks that has not spoken that would like to come forward? Okay, so I'm going to assume you'll be the last one.
So just a quick math, something new. 882,000 divided by 5,000 square feet is $176 a square foot. I'm in the insurance business, and we deal with replacement value of houses, and I don't know anywhere within this footprint where you could build a house of quality for $176 per square foot. You couldn't build a garage for that. So what I'm saying is it's very interesting that that figure came out of a captive company that it's in their best interest to put a low number in. Just saying. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. So this is a very emotional topic for Tuckahoe. Tuckahoe did not have, please do not call out. Tuckahoe did not have a historic preservation law until this board put one on the books. And so this is something that we do not take lightly. This is why we're not just rushing to make any kind of decisions, and we want to hear all of the information because we want to make a decision that honors the law that we crafted and approved, and we also want to make sure that we are being fair. So we appreciate all of the feedback, people who've weighed in. I really love that we had our young people here that are getting involved and engaged in their community. That's the one thing that we love to see the most. So thank you very much for being here on a school night. You can give permission not to go to school tomorrow because you've done your homework here. So you can just tell them I'll give you a note. So thank you all very much. I appreciate the commission's work on this project, and also I want to thank you, Gary, for serving as liaison, and for the Biggest Fish and the architect and the attorney for coming here and taking all the shots, because I know it's not easy. So thank you all. The board will be weighing in at the next meeting. We will vote on this at the next meeting. We're going to look at all of the information. We'll have some conversations, and then we'll take it from there. So just wanted to thank everyone and move forward with our agenda. So the public hearing, I'll ask for a motion to close the public hearing. May I have a motion? Unless you guys want to keep going.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor to close the public hearing?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Okay, thank you very much. So we'll move to the adoption of the minutes. So may I have a motion to approve the minutes of the April 8th and 29th, 2024 meetings?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And clearly the mass exodus continues. So we'll take a pause. And can I ask for those of you who are leaving to leave, please leave quickly. Our meeting is still in session. Thank you. Okay, so this takes us to the first opportunity to address the board on any agenda items. I will ask that you not come forward again regarding the Ward House because we have closed that public hearing. Thank you very much. So, yeah, we have to laugh at least a little bit, right? Come on. So may I have anyone who would like to address the board on any other agenda items? Please come forward now. Anyone that's here in person?
Hi, Peter
Hello.
Vichy, 28 Maynard Street. I went to a couple of workshop meetings last month, one on the 4th and one on the 17th. And at the first meeting, a resident got up and spoke and asked a question and was answered. At the second meeting, I went, you and Chief Rhoda with the dog and everything, he asked a question about the dog and you answered his question. And at the second meeting, I went to ask something and was referred to as a potted plant. As a taxpayer of this village, I thought it was disrespectful. And going forward, what is the policy for speaking up at the workshop meeting?
So you're talking just regarding the work sessions?
Yeah, the work session.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So I apologize if you felt disrespected and if a comment was made toward you. The work sessions are for the public to attend but not speak. Sometimes I am somewhat lenient with those rules because I want people to sometimes have opportunity, but technically the public is not allowed to speak because imagine if 100 people showed up to a work session and the board is trying to do business and everyone had a question, we would be there all night. So that's the reason why public comment is not allowed at the work sessions.
Okay, thank you, Mayor.
You're welcome. Anyone else would like to address the board?
Hi, Renee Howell, 184 Dante. I just wanted to thank the board for having the comprehensive plan on the agenda this evening. And I wanted to make a special thank you to the committee. I know Lois is here. She's a member of the committee, but really it's kind of a dream committee. Everybody participates. Everybody put the best effort forward. I wanted to thank the deputy mayor who also jumped in and did phone calls. get references for some of the work that was done. And of course, thanks to David for all his help. So I just wanted to say thank you to the committee.
Thank you. You beat me to it. That's that's number 4 on the agenda, and we lost some committee members. I think they got a little tired or hungry, one or the other. Anyone else would like to address the board on any agenda items? Okay. So I think I'm going to move us right to resolution number 4. Since we do have some committee members here, we might lose them quickly. Authorizing the execution of a contract with Fisher Associates for the development of the comprehensive plan in accordance with any modifications made by the village attorney or village administrator. Before I ask for a motion, I'd like to also thank the Comprehensive Plan Committee and thank former Deputy Mayor Dr. Howell for agreeing with a little arm twisting to lead this committee. And they did such an excellent job doing so. I thank the Deputy Mayor for agreeing to be the liaison with a little arm twisting as well, as if she doesn't have enough to do. But she never says no, so I appreciate that about her, and she gives it her all. I want to thank Lois and the other committee members for your participation. I got feedback from the village administrator and the deputy mayor that everyone was really engaged and interested in the future of the village, and the comprehensive plan serves as the roadmap for that. So thank you very much, Dr. Howell, and the entire committee. Lois, thank you very much, who's here. If you could please stand so we could just acknowledge you as well. Thank you. We appreciate that. So may I have a motion to authorize the execution of the contract with Fisher Associates?
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? And the work begins. Thank you all. Look out for work sessions and it's menopause. It's like cloudy brain here, and feedback from the community on the comprehensive plan. Can we go to resolution number 3, authorizing the Gifford Street Block Party time this time of year on Saturday, June 1st, with a rain date of June 8th. Do we have a time, David? All day. Midnight, it's like 12 to 12. So may I have a motion to authorize party time at the Gifford Street Block Party?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And resolution number 5, David's favorite one, authorizing the village administration to take necessary steps to relax zoning provisions to assist local restaurants pertaining to outdoor dining with rules and conditions established by the village administrator. May I have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? And let's pay the bills. May I have a motion to authorize approval of the vouchers in the amount of $501,191.20?
Second.
Great. And then all in favor?
Aye.
It's 8:30. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Thank you, board. And may I have a motion authorizing tax warrants, which I won't read the entire resolution. It's there in our meeting minutes. May I have a motion authorizing the receipt and collection of?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you all. And so we will go to departmental reports. Are you awake, Larry? Here we go. Chief Rhoda.
Good evening, Mayor.
Good evening.
This coming Wednesday, May 8th at ECAP, they're going to be sponsoring, along with St. Vincent's and several officers from the TPD, for a free Narcan training session. We just reposted it again online. From 6:30 to 7:30, the free kits will be dispersed to attendees along with training. And this is training to prevent the ever-apparent drug overdose crisis in our country. So I ask if you're available to attend, or if you feel like you know someone that could ever need this type of drug. It's always good to have it if you need it. So we will be out there along with St. Vincent's, and I look forward to the event, and it's something that's needed. The Tuckahoe Police Memorial will be this Saturday, May 11th, and it's going to be honoring all our deceased members. It starts at 9 a.m. at Village Hall. Typically, we have a beautiful day there. We're looking forward to the event, and I'll be out there along with all our officers. So we hope to see you there and members of the public. We have a Bicycle Community Day event coming up June 1st in the Main Street Park from 10 to 1. We always set up the nice little obstacle course. We give away some bikes. We do some cooking on the grill, and it's a fun day for all. So again, we'll be posting that, and I hope everyone comes out, especially with the children who are in need of bikes.
What time did you say Bicycle Day was?
10 to 1.
June 1st?
June 1st.
June 1st.
Thank you.
This past month, our commercial vehicle traffic enforcement unit was out again, and we issued 36 summonses. They were detailed to address commercial trucks entering the village with loud mufflers, safety violations, inspections, uncovered cargo, and unlicensed operators. As we know, this is a trucking route through the village, and it's a quality of life issue when these large trucks come in, pouring out diesel fumes, loud, uncovered loads, possibly sometimes unlicensed operators. So we're out there, and the goal is to prevent them from coming in with loud trucks, uncovered loads, and everything else. Sporting events, a message to the parents attending games on the local fields. So springtime brings out all the parents for sporting events in our two local fields, Parkway Oval and Iona College on Rose Avenue. This year, as always, we do have people who don't obey to the parking regulations. We go out there and we attempt to speak to them. This year, we see an uptick in this. We will be monitoring the areas very closely, and any violators, we will be issuing summonses. We saw it ourselves on Rose Avenue several weeks ago. We made contact with the college. They agreed to abide by their building department approval, so we hope that they will and continue to do so, and we'll be watching both Rose Avenue and Parkway Oval. Parkway Oval is a one-way in, one-way out, and we need access to emergency vehicles at all times. So the here to no corners or parents double park waiting, we cannot have that. We suggest you get there early, find legit parking that's within a legal spot. And now for my crime safety tip of the month. This crime tip is it's been well known for a while, but a lot of people don't follow it. Now with LED bulbs, you should. I am recommending to keep your porch light on if you own a home, and to have it on all night long. It acts as a natural deterrent, and it says that you're home. It also illuminates around. It helps with the Ring cameras. And if you have side lights on, I'd recommend putting those on as well, because those make the clarity in the camera surveillance systems that some people have clearer, so we see what's going on. And while our officers are patrolling the streets, rather than shining the spotlight in your house and potentially waking you up, it gives us the ability to see what's going on as well. So that's the crime safety tip of the month. Thank you, board.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone is, do we have our superintendent on Zoom? No. Okay, library report. Swadish is on vacation, so we will have our lovely Elaine Provenzano.
Sure. Let me tell you some of the highlights that are going on at the library this month. So on Tuesday, May 14th at 3:45, all ages 7 through adult, Songs of America with David Osborne, who's a site manager at St. Paul's Church, National Historic Site, Mount Vernon. He's going to have a sing-along of songs from colonial times through the 20th century, chronicling America's story with historical commentary. Tomorrow, we have Kids Craft Mother's Day card with Joyce, Miss Joyce, Tuesday, May 7th at 3:45, and that's ages 4 to 10. And then we have story time in the park. David, so excited about this, right? We want to thank the village and the DPW. They prepare the park for us every year. So starting on Tuesday, May 21st, every Tuesday at 11 a.m., we will be at Circuit Avenue Park, weather permitting. Rainy days will be held in the community center, and it's lots of fun. And speaking of bicycles, we are going to have our own bicycle safety story time on Friday, May 24th at 11 a.m. for ages 2 to 5. And for our teens and adults, we have Fun and Easy Beginner Sewing, ages 11 through adult, on Monday, May 13th at 5:30 p.m. You can create a square to add to our library quilt project. So they're going to be creating a quilt that will be hung in the new space. For teens, we have a new teen book club with Miss Donna on Friday, May 17th at 3:45, ages 11 and up. And we want to hear from you. We're going to be discussing a lot of genres. And then Realtor Sarah DeReese is coming to do a program in person, Should I Stay or Should I Go, on Wednesday, May 29th at 6 p.m. You're wondering, what does that mean? Not sure if you want to downsize? Where would I go? These and many more questions are plaguing many people as they age. And so Sarah DeReese will be talking about that. And we have the hybrid memoir writing that I run. It's going to be Thursday, May 16th at 1 p.m. So in person or online, we're on the stage, the very cool stage at the community center. And then our health and wellness programs. Meditation on Mondays at 9. We have our Tai Chi on the 17th and 24th at 10. And our yoga, our yoga every Monday at 9. Meditation is at 12, on Thursdays. And senior strength training the 13th and 20th at 5:15, so you could stay healthy. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Camille, do you have anything? Fun times.
No.
She's preparing your village tax bills. So the first half must be received by July 2nd in order not to get a penalty, which is 5%. Okay. Okay. Ouch. Right. Somebody said ouch. David, can you give some updates on the library?
Under that ouch, we do not control that 5%. That is a state law. So
correct.
Don't look at us. Just to give a quick update, the tax program is still on track for June 1st. We have continued meetings this week.
You mean the online?
Online tax payment. So hopefully in the next couple of weeks, we'll actually see that kind of rolled out, but that's still on track. New York State budget was finally passed. A lot of things are jammed in there that we're looking at, and it's interesting that we're talking about a comprehensive plan or getting started on that, because as you know, New York State has really moved to a pro-housing kind of, a lot of initiatives, a lot of different tax exemptions, a lot of different things in there. So, and the next, several months with the comprehensive plan, we're going to really have to start looking at that, what that means. Is that something the community wants? Kind of the vision for the future. So there's a lot in the state budget in that regard. Couple of highlights of the state budget. They did not cut transportation funding, which was fantastic. So we'll be able to continue to pave our roads this year. And then another interesting, I'm always the naysayer when it comes to AIM funding, but after 18 years, there was a new program. So they actually didn't increase AIM, but what they did is temporary municipal assistance. And they put in an additional $50 million in that budget. And I know $50 million sounds like a lot, but the village of Tuckahoe will get $5,500. We will take anything. It does show goodwill from the state that this is something that they need to kind of increase year over year. This is the first effort to increase anything in 18 years, so we'll take that as a win and move forward.
Thank you. Do you want to give a little update on the library?
Yeah, the library is actually really exciting. It's coming along. I was actually with Elaine today looking at furniture, doing what we call the butt test, pardon my language, sitting in all the chairs, and the construction's going really well. Some things are kind of being held up in regards to millwork and that kind of stuff, but working on that. It's being painted, so if you actually go by there, you can actually see the paint colors and things like that. So it's actually really exciting. On track for the shelving to come in, probably hopefully by the end of this month, early next month, get the furniture ordered. So yeah, things are lining up for kind of a summer opening. I don't know when that's going to be, but yeah, moving along.
Very cool. Thank you. Gary? Okay. So the next village board meeting will be on June 3rd at 7 p.m. Right here. Same bat time, same bat channel. And I'll take us to Board of Trustee reports. Trustee Lang.
Thank you, Mayor. I'll start with beautification. I met with the board, and the geraniums will be delivered this week. The committee will have a table selling geraniums at the Lake Avenue lot from 9 to 2 on Saturday, 5/18. I believe that's to help out the seniors, if I understand correctly, that particular sale. So with the cost of baskets rising every year, the committee was unable to purchase the normal number of baskets that they normally purchase, but thankfully the village and DPW were able to address the shortfall, so the village will be well covered. Thank you very much to the DPW as well. Thank you. As for the community center, there's no major events for the month of May. However, open gym Wednesdays are going well. The community center is currently booking parties for Thursdays and Saturdays. If those are interested, please reach out to our director, John Galuzzi. And lastly, I would just like to present my May stipend to the Juneteenth committee to help out with their expenses. So if I could present this to you, Samantha, that'd be great. And that's all I have, Mayor.
Okay. Trustee Gaccione.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. We'll start with the History Committee. The History Committee is celebrating 4 years on social media. Big 4 years, 1,352 followers on Facebook. And I've heard that Miss Elaine is going to start doing Reels. So that is bound and determined to increase their following. They are here every Wednesday from 9:30 to 12 and can always use your help. They are very active and they're doing a lot of great work. We do not need to go over Historic Preservation Commission, I don't think. I think we're good. All right? Okay. So we'll talk about veterans. I always say May is the month of veterans. On May 16th, mark your calendars. I'll give you a minute. Mark your calendars. May 16th is the Eastchester Veterans Foundation indoor ceremony at the Eastchester High School. Doors open at 6:15. The program starts at 7 p.m. It is 1 hour long. We try to stick to that. And this year we'll be talking about the folks who gave their lives in the Civil War. I've appreciated the photos that have come in and a lot of the help that we've gotten. Dick Forliano has been especially helpful in talking about a lot of our local ties to the Civil War. So we'll be talking about that on May 16th at 7 p.m. at the Eastchester High School. Sunday, May 19th is the Memorial Day Parade in Eastchester. Sunday, May 19th, 3 p.m. We will be stepping out from Immaculate Conception Church and going north up Route 22, White Plains Road, and we'll be ending at the monuments, the Gold Star Mothers and Families monuments there. Well, there'll be some brief presentations. Monday, May 27th, which is Memorial Day proper, 8:30 will be the parade in Bronxville. We will step off from the Leonard Moraine Square at 8:30. That's May 27th. And the order for the 13 new banners has been sent out. It is the busiest time of year for them, so there'll be a little bit of a delay as to when they come in. We're also kind of shuffling. We're working with DPW to see about which banners that we're going to replace, and some of them have been tattered and they're not in the best of shape, but we want to honor the families and the veterans who have banners and make sure they all go up. So we'll have a specific date of when they'll go up later on in the year, but we're looking towards, the other veterans holidays that are about. Thank you, Mayor.
Thank you. Trustee Engelbert.
Okay. Though I do feel like Josh is trying to be funny in his reports. I don't know. I think I see him maybe laying down the gauntlet. No, but no, absolutely not. Okay, so Eastchester Union Free School District tomorrow board meeting 7:30 in the high school library. Participation in democracy is being kind of aligned to your school district. So if you're zoned for Eastchester schools, I encourage you to attend that. I will also ask folks to write down a few dates that are really important. So May 21st is the Board of Education trustee and budget vote, and that's taking place in the Eastchester Middle School gym. It is open from 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. This is where, I start to feel a little sad. On average, according to Brookings Institution, school board elections, only 5 to 10% of registered voters actually participate. Yes, that's only 5 to 10%. That's kind of sickening, to be honest. I want to be a bit harsh kind of here. School taxes are the biggest bite of that bill that you get. Well, not from Camille, because you're not sending your property taxes, but you're sending your school taxes. But your property taxes, it's the schools. And only 5 to 10% of folks who are paying those taxes are showing up and actually voting in those elections. If I were to be really candid here, in some ways, if we do it just from a fiscal perspective, it's more important that you vote in your school board and budget hearings than it is that you vote here on Village Hall if we look at it just through a financial lens. Now, you should vote in all the elections for which you are qualified to vote, but 5 to 10% is an abomination. So get out. I'm going to put you all on record. Get out and vote in your school board elections. It's ridiculous. Now, being more positive and happier here, the Eastchester Middle School is having its art show on May 30th and 31st from 5 to 7 in the little gym, and on June 1st from 1 to 5 p.m. And the art program in the Eastchester schools is exceptional, and this art show will make your soul sing. So I encourage you, if you have a moment on those days, to come on by. Now, the library is typically my next report. We've had a lot of good stuff about the library. David kind of stole things I was going to talk about, but okay, fine, David. But what I do want to kind of point out is my understanding is at the next board meeting that we'll hear the ukuleles. So talk about your soul singing. You're actually hear the ukuleles playing. So if there isn't a reason to come to the next board meeting besides the vote on the Ward House, it's certainly the ukuleles. Okay, so the last bit for me is TESC. And I'm going to share a little bit of a personal kind of story here. Last weekend, I saw someone throw a big plastic bag of dog poo down the stormwater catch basins as I was driving up Lincoln to drop Nicholas off at a 7th grade dance. Now that plastic bag kind of goes into our stormwater catch basin and goes out into the Bronx River, goes out into the ocean, disintegrates into microplastics, which a fish probably eats and you're going to eat on your dinner table kind of at some point in time. Those catch basins are for flooding. They are not garbage cans kind of for our town. So I asked the Village of Tuckahoe, not to call out whoever this person was, I didn't recognize him obviously, but to please refrain from littering. And I'm sure that our own DPW superintendent would say the same thing. This is for flooding kind of abatement, and we shouldn't be kind of contaminating our environment kind of in that way. And certainly I wanted to thank the good folks who participated in the river sweep cleanup this past weekend. It's garbage that you throw in the catch basins that end up in the Bronx River that these good volunteers have to go dig out of the muck kind of along our beautiful Bronx River Park. So I know this week I was a little kind of rah, 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 rah with everyone, but Tuckahoe is a beautiful place because we take good care of it, and part of taking good care of it is voting and not throwing garbage down the stormwater catch basins. That's it for me.
Thank you, Trustee Engelbert. That requires a standing ovation. I didn't see anyone standing up, but okay. Deputy Mayor.
To piggyback on Trustee Engelbert's admonishment of people, May 21st is also the Tuckahoe School District School Board bond and budget vote. So if you live in the Tuckahoe School District, you are also under obligation to go out and vote, make your voice heard. It is a contested vote, so there's some really interesting people running. Please make an effort to find out who is running for your school board, understand where they stand, watch the candidate forum. I just want to say thank you to all the people running, that they stand up, let people know who they are, and they participate in these forums. It's such an important thing. So that's, again, May 21st. Both school districts are running elections that day. So I just want to give a shout out to a lot of our local businesses. They are the unsung heroes of this community. They do so much for us. I want to say thank you to Spring Hill Suites. as they just organized a day of going to collect garbage up and down Marbledale Road, and they collected a ton of it. They do this at their own volition. They did it because they wanted to help out. And so they are consistently doing things for this community, and I just want to give them a big shout out. They also just let it be known that they are hiring. They have posted it, and I have posted it on my social media pages. So you should shop local and you should work local if you can. They do give good benefit packages, so definitely check that out if you're interested. I also saw that San Fratello Deli on Main Street is also hiring. They're looking for somebody who can use a slicing machine. So if that is of interest to you, reach out to them. Yeah, I hope so. The food, yes, delicious. We have 2 new businesses open in the last month, and so I just want to say hello to them and give them a warm Tuckahoe welcome. How You Brewin' on Fisher Avenue. Trustee Gaccione and I had the opportunity to do a ribbon cutting for them last month, and it was phenomenal. They are doing some very interesting things on Thursday and Friday night. I believe they have a teen night, so you should go and check that out. And Yoga Haven on Marbledale Road recently opened, and there will be a ribbon cutting for them this coming Saturday at 5 p.m. So you can check them out as well. And I just want to remind everybody that Sarah DeReese, who is a local real estate agent, is helping. It actually has organized through the Icon Foundation a village-wide tag sale on May 18th. So if you do not have a place to have a tag sale, like you live in a building and you don't have a garage or a front yard, you can set up in our lot. There's a public lot that we're using. So you can reach out either. That's also posted on our social media page. It's on the village website, and you can reach out to Sarah DeReese directly. And all the proceeds from the registration fees go to our Tuckahoe seniors. So please, this is a really good time to do some spring cleaning and get all kinds of stuff out of your house, and maybe just do a little swapping between neighbors. From ECAP board member Daryl Taylor, who could not be here tonight, he asked me to give you some reminders. ECAP is doing a summer enrichment program, and registration for that is now open. That's for ages 7 through 12. So if you are interested in doing summer enrichment for your children, ages 7 through 12, please reach out to ECAP. Just to reiterate what the chief said, there is Narcan training on the 8th. That's 2 days from now, Wednesday at 6:30. It is, I did the Narcan training. It's really a great thing just to have in your house. You never know when you might need it. So that is at 6:30, and I will be there. So come along. And they also wanted me to mention that the senior art class registration is now closed. If you have any questions about any ECAP offerings, the number is 914-337-7768. From the Zoning Board of Appeals, they do have 2 items on their agenda for their meeting on Wednesday. 20 Marbledale Road, which is Elcan Industries, has a permit in to expand their business, and 25 Main Street has a permit application in to reduce the number of required parking spots. The Planning Board on 521 is adjourned this month. One last thing. I had the opportunity to speak with a representative from a program called Isolation to Connection. Nancy Height Norday, who is one of our local residents who works with the Westchester Jewish Senior Council, put me in touch with this program. And so every month I'd like to kind of highlight one, because I'm the senior liaison, one of the programs that is available to seniors. This one is particularly important. They actually have volunteers that will go to the home of a senior who is living in isolation, who is either homebound or living alone and doesn't have a lot of help and support. They will offer different services like rides to appointments or shopping or groceries. They will help them sort through their papers, get organized, clean things out. And so if you know somebody who is living alone or is socially isolated, who is a senior or disabled, you can reach out to me or the program Isolation to Connection, and maybe they can get a little help and a little support. They also have legal services and other kind of support services. So if you know anybody who's living in isolation, please by all means feel free to reach out. I think that I am done. Thank you.
Thank you. I love this board. They take things off my agenda. Yes. A couple of acknowledgments that I'd like to make. Today is Holocaust Remembrance Day, and the month of May is Jewish American Heritage Month. So I want to acknowledge that and remind everyone that we are honoring those who were lost during the Holocaust. The Tesk and the River Keeper cleanup volunteers, I want to thank them for doing such a great job. I was down there mostly to look at everyone because I actually didn't do it this year. I was too tired. But I said I wanted to go down and thank everyone who did help. And so I asked the Tesk to give me the names of the volunteers. There weren't as many as I anticipated and that we've had in the past. So I do want to acknowledge from the Tuckahoe Environmental and Sustainability Committee, Donald Crosby and Mike Dardano were there working, and from Tuckahoe DPW, thank you to Chris Maloney for working that day. And then we had several volunteers, Susan Montesino, representing the Eastchester Tuckahoe Chamber of Commerce, Peggy Rodriguez from Tuckahoe, Deirdre and Thomas Sekulik from Bronxville, Patrick Healy from Bronxville, Brian Weiss and Kate Weiss, and their sons Hudson and Grayson. Grayson wasn't too happy about this, but I told him I would come and thank him personally for being there and doing it anyway, because sometimes you don't feel like doing it, but you do it anyway. So thank you, Grayson. Samuel Canis and family from Eastchester, Alina Zagorski from Bronxville, Hope Stango and Chloe Stango from Tuckahoe, Elizabeth Harris from Irvington came to help us out, Chrissy Martino from Bronxville, Jean Polo and his daughter Emma, who's a member of the Tuckahoe Environmental and Sustainability Committee. Thank you to Kara Cronin and family who grudgingly came. Zan wanted to stay home and play Dungeons and Dragons, and I was with him, but mom said no, you got to come. And I also want to thank Josh, who was there as well. I didn't get to see you, Josh, because I hear you were in the trenches there with his son doing the work as well. So thank you all for giving back, back to Trustee Engelbert's point that, you have people giving up their time and their efforts. And we don't want to negate that by continuing to litter and to throw poop down the, I don't get that. But anyway, so please don't do that. Let's keep Tuckahoe clean. It's a beautiful place. That's one of the reasons why we love it here. Thank you all. I also want to thank the police department. We had Chief Costanzos. Wow. Sorry, Chief Rhoda. Detectives Leone and Tecito, our superintendent for DPW, Frank DeMarco, Lois Macri, Daryl Taylor, our deputy mayor Kara Cronin, and trustee Josh Gaccione. Indulge me and join me in serving at the Ronald McDonald House of the Greater Hudson Valley. That was an awesome day. Just really giving back to those families who have children there who are getting treatment for cancer, and they provide them with meals and room and board at no cost to them. So I'm really grateful that we had that opportunity to go and to give back to our community, which is the Greater Hudson Valley. So thank you for those on the board who were able to make it and attended. And that's it for me. You have one more thing?
Yes, sorry. Sorry to leave it on this note, but I'd be remiss if I didn't say this past week we lost a World War II veteran in town. Jack Del Vecchio passed away. We laid him to rest today. You might not have known Jack, but Jack was a hell of a guy. He was grumpy and moody all the time, and we loved him anyway. He's one of the last World War II vets in the area. And if you look at any of the monuments throughout town, he had a hand in either helping put those together with the DiRienzos or, the one down in Parkway Oval, which he and another person did by themselves. And he was also very key in the initial purchasing of the VFW on White Plains Road. So rest in peace, Jack. And, we're thinking of his wife, Carmela.
Wow. So Josh, can we just have a moment of silence for him? Okay, thank you. Thank you for bringing that to our attention. And on that note, I will say good night, Tuckahoe. We will see you on June.
Comments? Address the board.
Oh, there's another opportunity. Darn, you guys get to talk again. I'm having a great night. Generally, we call you up, but that's okay. Just anybody could just come up. Thank you.
Peter Vishy again. Trustee Gassion said it's Veterans Month, but yet the banners aren't going up. It's kind of a disgrace. I feel that, listen, I feel that the banners should go up. They should stay up all year. I understand with the beautification, as Trustee Lang said, there was an increase in price. Maybe we could do something about it and work it in where every other pole gets a plant and every other gets a banner. And then in the November, when the plants die, you could put an American flag in where the plants go. But they should go up for Memorial Day, not wait until Labor Day or Veterans Day. That's my opinion.
Thank you. Thank you for voicing your opinion. I will say this. You can have a seat. I will say this. I think that Trustee Gaccione, who's been charged with managing this project, is trying to honor the veterans, he himself being one, and he wants to make sure that we have all of the banners. The banners were prematurely brought down from Eastchester, so that posed a little bit of a problem because we don't know where they all are. So he wants to make sure, and he's working with Frank, who also takes this very seriously and personally, to make sure that the banners that they do not, they cannot locate, they have a list that are missing, that they find them. That's really what the disgrace is. The other thing is that there are banners that are tattered. So we don't want to put banners up that don't look like they represent the veteran who is being represented on the banner. So, you know, I'm going to ask that people not use this whole banner situation for political play because it just is not right. So, Josh, if you want to respond to...
I just think there's a lot more to the story that you're clearly not aware of. And you also haven't been privy to any of the process or the back order with these folks, and there's so much more than what you just brought up here. So coming up here and saying that they should be here for Memorial Day or else it's a disgrace, I mean, come on. We're talking about veterans, right? Veterans that are going up. When should we honor veterans? All year long, right? But when should we primarily pay attention to this? On Veterans Day. So for you to come up here and say that, not knowing anything about the situation, you're just being divisive.
Okay. Is there anyone else that would like to address the board? Mm-hmm.
Hi, Renee Halligan, 184 Dante. Sorry, I haven't been to a meeting in a while, but I have a lot to say. So my first thing was actually to come here to thank Trustee Gaccione for the efforts that he led on getting information out to veterans on benefits. You know, and what I was planning to say was, you know, we do a lot here of pomp and circumstance with parades, with banners, but as the mother of an enlisted soldier who in 2 years will be, you know, up and serving, this couldn't be more important. This is what we hear at West Point all the time about how, you know, veterans, especially those who have served since 1980 and forward, really are looking for a connection to their community and understanding of what the government owes them in the way of benefits, and I couldn't be more appreciative, Trustee Gaccione, of your efforts. They're really important, so thank you. I also wanted to let people know that I have the great pleasure of having a second, you know, stellar committee for the village for the Tuckahoe Challenge. We'll be having our first meeting this Thursday at 7 p.m. at the community center, and anybody who is interested in participating in that, we're always looking for more volunteers. We have a goal of getting over 600 runners here. And again, I am personally going to be tracking to make sure that each member of the board participates in the run.
Oi, oi.
Yep.
Oi vey.
I know some of you have been training. And then lastly, you know, I have heard at this meeting now and at a previous meeting something that really concerns me. And I wanted to try to understand and ask Trustee Lang. I don't understand why part of what you're presenting is a personal check from your personal funds to different groups in the village, including some Jim Murray's birthday party.
Yeah, sure. I'd be happy to answer. So you're saying my personal funds? These are checks that I earned through the Village of Tuckahoe?
Well, so the village pays you for being a trustee.
That's correct.
Right? And so you, as a person, now have money that you give out.
That's correct, and
So
I'm
you're
very
not
proud of it.
doing this as a village, as
Well, I'm not doing this to get paid. To answer your question, I'm not doing this to get paid, if that's what your
That's
question
not
is.
my question.
Well,
My
I'm just
question
telling you.
is that your personal funds, I don't understand why that is presented as a trustee activity.
Well, that's perfectly fine if you don't understand it. Is it my job to make you understand it?
Yes, it is.
I don't think so.
I think it is because
I don't think so. I'm sorry.
there is, you know, I don't understand why a village trustee is taking the dais and presenting what they're donating their personal funds. I am sure every person up here donates to the village, but that's your personal, not your job as a trustee. And once the funds are given to you from the village, they are now your personal funds, not the village's funds.
Do you wish for me no longer to donate the funds back to the village, ma'am?
I think that you should
Is that
not
what you're saying?
use the dais to present that.
Oh, that's too bad.
And as a
I'm
matter
sorry you
of
feel
fact,
that way.
I come here to ask the board because I feel like this is campaigning, that you are campaigning. And so we have on the village code an ethics board, and I think this is a situation that would be perfect for an ethics board to look at.
Please, by all means, go ahead. Thank you. I
Okay.
appreciate that.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else would like to address the board? Yes.
Pam Hudson, 64 Midland Place. I'll be very brief. I was able to read a synopsis of the New York State budget. Senator Mayer had sent out an email that gave us a synopsis of what's in the budget, and she did mention several items on achieving affordable housing. And so I was very glad to hear Mr. Burke talk about having a comprehensive plan that will include that and getting input from the community. And I would love to be able to give our input as relatively new residents of Tuckahoe and renters in the community to you. So I just wanted to offer my input when it's appropriate to give that when you're working on the comprehensive plan. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, we will have focus groups, and there will be opportunity to weigh in. Will anyone like to address the board on any items, agenda or not? Anyone on Zoom? Yes, go ahead.
Michelle for 216 Midland Avenue, Tuckahoe. Not campaigning, but I want to thank our two trustees for mentioning the school board vote. I am one of the candidates for the Tuckahoe School Board elections, and we are not having enough of the family members and residents coming out to vote, so that my purpose for being here today is just to introduce myself and to remind all of those residents of Tuckahoe specifically to please come out and make sure you are voting, paying attention to all of the candidates that are running, and to see what we are all about. Thank you.
Thank you. That is important for people to know who is running, so thank you for coming forward. Anyone else would like to address the board? Okay, so can I close now? All right, on that note, have a good night, Tuckahoe. We will see you in June.